All right. Hello. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today we're going to be comparing YMAX versus SPY for the 3-month calendar. And what I want to do today is in this video, we're going to be looking over the share price returns of the S&P 500, which to break it to you, 6.78% versus YMAX's 5.49%. And what we're going to be doing in this video is I'm taking the last 3 months dividends for YMAX. You can see in my Excel chart, we're going to be comparing the total returns for YMAX and SPY over a 3-month period. I'm going to factor in all the dividends, and then once we do all this, I'm going to show you the reinvested return for YMAX over the past 3 months. This is a video that you want to watch if you're a YMAX investor. I created this because I was very interested to see how it performed over the short term. I own 728 shares of YMAX, over $12,000, so I definitely have a decent position in. So if you have a position in YMAX too, remember to subscribe. We're up to 5,922 subscribers, 437 subscribers in the past 28 days. Let's get this to 500. Our goal is to get this to 1,000 in 28 days. I appreciate everyone who shares this video with a friend, who likes and subscribes. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get into today's video. SPY, the S&P 500 versus YMAX. When we look at it first off of a 3-month calendar, you see here 5.49% in the negative for YMAX, and then we have SPY, which is actually appreciated 6.78%. So right off the bat, those are our two markers. We have SPY, which what I did was I took the share price way back on July 29th, which was roughly about $545, and I took today's share price at $581, and basically that gave us a return of 6.66%. Now I look at YMAX. This is completely on a price basis. We're going to add dividends later. So you can see about 18.61, and roughly we're finishing today about 17.55. Let's see what we have here. So I actually have 17.56 and 18.61. 18.61s are starting, and then 17 is today's current share price. And you can see here that we're actually down about 5%. So right off the bat, SPY looking like a better investment, but let's get a deeper dive into it. Taking 100 shares of each with a starting return of, you can see here, 55,000. Whoops, that went a little crazy there. With $55,500, I took in both SPY, this is SPY's right here, and I have YMAX's right down here. You could see that equated to about 2,928 shares, and right here, just even actually a little bit below 54,500. So what I want to do here is go over all the charts, because I did add up YMAX's dividend here, which was basically taking all these dividends paid over the past 3 months, which equals to $1.85. I added that to the share price that we started with, which was $18.61 in this previous example here, our starting share price value. I added this $1.85, and that gave us a 4.2% return. So you can see here, we are still not outperforming the market. Even just basically going off of our initial share price, adding the dividends, we're still down about 2.5%. Cool. So now we move on to reinvested dividends. Let's see, how could we make YMAX a better return than the SPY? I'm going to show you. So we take our shares, we multiply it by the first share price, which was for YMAX, $18.61 right there. That gives us a initial starting value of $54,500. We take our shares times our dividends, and that equals to roughly about $1,700 in dividends. Cool. Now we reinvest for the next. How we do this? We take our we take our shares from the initial starting point, we multiply it by our dividend, we divide it by the new share price, and then we add our old shares. That's how we get this 3,026 shares. Cool. We take our new shares, multiply by the dividend. You can see a huge drop. This is where YMAX went from monthly dividends to weekly dividends here. So these are all weekly dividends. Cool. You can see our total reinvested goes down to $53,293. Then it jumps up with the next dividend. We're past our initial share price value. Then we go back to about the same. We jump up about $1,000. We jump up about $400. And then we end here with only a 2% return, starting at 54,000 right here, you can see, and ending with 56,000. So reinvesting the dividends for WiMAX does not work to beat SPY. You could see here, we only have a 2% return while SPY is averaging a 6.6% return in the same time period. So how do we beat SPY with WiMAX? And this is why I'm grateful if you guys stick to the end of the video, because I'm going to show you right now. This is how. What you do is you take your initial shares, you multiply it by the initial value, and you add up all the dividends. This is not dividends reinvested. This is just dividends paid out. You can see here what I've done is I've summed up all the dividends paid out with the initial shares and the initial value. All you did was buy WiMAX one time right here, and you just collected the dividends. You simply did not reinvest. That would actually produce you a return, which is, let's see exactly. So we have 60 equals to 60,154 divided by our initial price return. Boom. That is a 10%. We go here. Boom. What I'll do is I'll go to general so it makes it a little bit easier. Compared to SPY, we now have a better return in the past 3 months. A 10% return versus a 6.6% return. And how did we achieve this with WiMAX? What we did was we simply bought my WiMAX once and we just collected the dividends. We did not reinvest. You could see here reinvesting the dividends produced a 2.8% return, whereas just collecting the dividends, not reinvesting, produced a 10% return. So why do I choose to reinvest my dividends then? What's the deal? Because I have about $25,000 here, majority invested into WiMAX. So why would I not just take out the dividends, put it into something else? It's because look at this. Even with the lowered kind of return for WiMAX, you could see here what's growing. My initial capital is growing and my monthly dividends are growing. And really what I'm after is I want my monthly dividends to grow. And cool, my initial shares is cool to grow, but what I would like to do is get this to a point where I could potentially live off of this income. As I mentioned, you could just take your initial shares times the initial purchase price value and live off of this income. But I am currently trying to grow. That's why any dividends that are paid out, I put to reinvest in order to get a higher monthly income every single month. Each investment of shares is going to account for more and more income every month, as it should. One thing though that this strategy does not keep in mind is it doesn't keep in mind that you can choose when you buy WiMAX. You can choose if you reinvest at low prices. This strategy here where I reinvested, got 2.8%, was simply just buying whenever an X dividend or a dividend was paid out, the X dividend date. But what the strategy doesn't take into account is that I could potentially buy at certain levels. Like if I see a level in the $16 level, like here, 1676 is when I actually bought some more WiMAX and I averaged down my position. That's why I'm doing pretty well in my position. It says I'm down $150. But really, when I look at one of my positions here, if I go to my cash account, I'm actually up because of all the dividends that I have received so far, about 6.9%. So this was just a video to kind of show you how WiMAX has performed to SPY and how there's a bunch of different ways to play it. You can simply go off of collecting dividends, which is proven to be the best way. You buy WiMAX once, you collect those dividends, and you maybe put into something else. Or what you do is you reinvest in order to boost your monthly income. It is proven not to be the best way to use WiMAX, but if you're looking to bump up and increase your monthly income every single month, and if that kind of satisfies you and makes you feel safe, then that by all means is what you'll do, and that's most likely what I'll continue to do. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it kind of opened your eyes a little bit to WiMAX's performance versus the SPY. If you guys did enjoy, we're up to 5,922 subscribers. I hope you guys leave a like, stick around for the next video, and I hope to see you then.